Welcome to the Day Weather Podcast on this Tuesday, December 17th. Well, between now and next Monday, the weather across the Intermountain West will be dominated by dry, high pressure for the most part. Other than some windy periods, a small weather disturbance that could bring a few snow showers to the mountains Wednesday night and Thursday, there are no major storms queued up to roll through the Rockies. The only system we see is a weak wave coming through Wednesday night, Thursday, that'll produce a little bit of snow in the mountains, wind on the plains, and some clouds on the plains, and Thursday will be a little bit cooler. I think the only thing we really got to be mindful of is that with a lot of snow cover out there, there will be windy areas. I-80, I-25, high elevations of I-70, there's going to be some blowing snow concerns like there always is this time of year, but that's it. If you've got plans on traveling for the rest of this week and into the weekend, good news for you. Through Monday, this weather will hold. We're still expecting Christmas week to bring changes. Too early to give you details, but confidence is growing. Late Tuesday night into Wednesday, there should be at least a chance for snow. Late Christmas Eve and maybe on Christmas Day in some parts of the West as a wave comes off the West Coast. That will likely be followed by another storm system the weekend after Christmas, and we're seeing some long-range trends. The table is getting set in the Northern Hemisphere for what could be some very cold air invading North America right around New Year, either just before New Year's Day or just after New Year's Day, somewhere in that time range of, let's say, December 29th through the 2nd. We see a stratospheric warming event, which was predicted a long time ago, but has been delayed. But it really looks like the stratosphere is going to warm. And if you remember, when the stratosphere gets warmer, it gets thicker. The thicker the stratosphere gets, the more it wants to push the cold air off the higher latitudes, the Arctic Circle area, south towards us. That is showing up on the modeling again by all the long-range computer models. We're also seeing a high-pressure ridge wanting to build in the eastern Pacific towards the new year. And when that happens, you combine that with the fact that we've got the shortest days of the year, the longest nights. The cold is likely going to build this week and next week in Canada in the higher latitudes. So 2020, we could ring in the new year over a large part of the United States a whole lot colder as we go into 2020, at least for the start of it. So in the meantime, enjoy the good weather we've got here for the next 5 or 6 days. I want to give you another little bit of a solar update. Last week we talked about possibly breaking the sunspot record or the lack thereof. Well, we did it. We have now gone 34 straight days without any sunspot activity. That now makes for the year 271 days we've had no sunspots. That makes this the quietest sun we've had in a century. And what's really interesting, we are now approaching the record set back in 1878. In 1878, there were 280 sunspotless days. We're only 9 days away from that, so there is a chance that 1878's record could be broken. There's only 2 other records in our modern times, if we consider 1878 modern times, but record-keeping of sunspot activity does go back pretty far. 1913 was the record. 1913, 311 sunspotless days. 1901 was 287. So we are really at historic low activity with the sun. And as we talked about in a podcast last week, when solar activity is very low or we don't have many or no sunspots, more cosmic rays penetrate the Earth's atmosphere as the magnetic field is weaker. We also don't just get cosmic rays coming from the sun or the lower activity from the sun, but when the sun activity is low, we also get more cosmic rays coming just from outer space. Cosmic rays are going through space all the time, and these fluctuations, these increases and decreases in cosmic ray activity is compelling when we start making connections to what the weather and the climate we observe across the Earth is, especially if you look historically at cosmic ray fluctuations and what happened with the Earth's climate as these cosmic ray fluctuations go up and down. That's why we're spending some time on it, because when we're at historic solar minimum activity right now, something that we haven't seen in well over 100 years, it could really impact the weather down the road here in the coming years. And if our solar activity continues to be weak, we will bottom out with this solar minimum probably around April of 2020. And then the next solar cycle 25, will start. But there's pretty much widespread agreement around the solar scientist community that the solar maximum, the next solar cycle 25, that will be going into the next maximum. Well, the maximum will be weaker than solar cycle 24, which is the one we're finishing now. Solar cycle 24 was weaker than solar cycle 23. And there are some solar scientists that predict that although we will go back into these maximums, these 11-year cycles, the maximums will be weaker than the previous ones, which means a continual decrease in that solar activity could go here for the next 2, maybe the next 3 solar cycles. Thanks for listening to the Day Weather Podcast. Enjoy this good stretch of weather through Monday, and then tomorrow we'll talk about maybe the chances of a white Christmas for some of you. Have a great Tuesday.